Hi, I'm Melanie from Parenting High Schoolers, and I'm here today to talk to you about talking to your teen about breaking big jobs down into small steps. So, in order to end large, we have to start small. So I hop on YouTube every week to talk to parents about raising teens and tweens. And these are long, it's a long 7 years, but there's so much good that parents can do during these years. And I'm here to help as much as I can. I don't know everything, but I brought up 3 boys. 2 are in their 20s, one's a junior in high school, and I'm just here to share a little bit of knowledge that I might have that might help you along the way. So let's get started. I'm going to start off with this. It's not really a quote, it's just a saying. One thought at a time, one task at a time, one day at a time. And so that got me to thinking, like, how could we break this down for teens? I mean, even really ourselves. So let's say your child, you've been wanting them to apply for scholarships, or they want to, and they just don't feel like they have time. This could be broken down into different pieces of the job, different tasks. So first of all, they could find a list of scholarships that they'd like to apply for. Perhaps start locally, a bank, credit union, the high school itself. What is in your high school's scholarship tabs that are available to apply for? Churches are a good place too, and insurance companies. So all of those, pick some to apply for. So that's just one task for one day. Then the next time, maybe put them in order of when they are due and what is actually needing to be done for each one. Do they need an essay? Or is there paperwork? Is there a transcript going to be needed? A letter of recommendation? And make a list of which ones need what at what date. So that's just all that they would do on day 2. And then the next time is to maybe start with that first one and put everything together that is needed. So the letter of recommendation is ready. They've got a copy of their transcript. They've got whatever it is that is needed. And maybe they start an outline of the essay that is going to be required. And that's all. So each time they work on this, they're accomplishing something that is getting them towards the final goal. This is true for everything. So like ultimately, they would have the scholarship finished for, let's say, the bank, and they can turn it in, and then they get on kind of a roll, and then they can do the next one that is due locally for maybe the insurance company, and just keep going that way. So for us, this makes sense, but sometimes we have to break it down for our kids for them to see, oh, like I don't have to do it all at once, because that becomes really overwhelming. Okay, let's say they need to clean their room, and it's a giant pit. Maybe the first day they go in and get all of their dirty clothes and they start doing laundry. And that's all they do on the first day. Or that's the first task. So once they get all of that going, then the clean clothes that if they're anything like my kids are just going to put it all through the wash just to get it out of there. Whatever. Then maybe they can work on any papers that are in the room that are scattered. Do they need to be kept? Do they need to be pitched? So then they can maybe work on any kind of athletic gear. As they get the job done, they just pick one thing to work on at a time. Just have a box in there for them that is for anything that leaves the room, but they don't get to leave the room until the room is finished. But there are items in a box that can go out of the room when they do. So another job that can be broken down into pieces is assignments for school. So if they have a big paper coming up, maybe the first time they work on it, they get all their resources, go through those, maybe make notes and decide what the topic of their paper is going to be. And that's day 1. And then, I mean, as an English teacher, this is what I would do with my kids. I was like, okay, let's break it down. So then the next time they work on it, maybe they just work on what is each paragraph going to be about. Is it a 5-paragraph essay? Well, then let's talk about, how are we going to break this down? And then the next time, maybe they try to write the first and second rough draft of that essay. And so finally, they'll have the essay done. And they need to start right away. That's another thing. A lot of times, I know I am terrible about procrastinating because everything seems overwhelming. Especially if you have a child that has ADHD, jobs seem like everything seems huge. And that's where my problem lies. So if I just start small, I can get so much more done. And I will link to some resources for that. There's a great book called Order Out of Chaos, and it just helps students It helped me as a mom and someone that has ADHD to realize that I could break things down and make them easier. And some of you out there are like, well, that seems simple. Well, it is simple, but sometimes we just don't think about it because everything seems overwhelming, especially if we have a lot to do. If you have a child that's an athlete and a student and has a job and has a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and it's just, then they think, oh my gosh, I have to add in one more thing. Well, yes, but here are some tips. Anything that your child needs to do can be broken down. Like, let's say you need to teach them how to work a budget. Start small. Start with maybe just gas and food and then work out from there so that it's not like they have to learn everything all at once. We would never expect them to start a job and know everything all at once. And all of these things are on top of their regular life at school. I encourage you to break things down for your child, even if they don't have ADD or ADHD, so that they can realize that, oh, I can do a couple of steps at a time. And if they even made a list and could just check it off, I know I'm a huge list maker because I like to see things crossed off or checked off. So that's another tip for getting a big job done. Break it down into literally the tiniest pieces. And that's a life skill that our kids really need to have. Good luck helping your child or your teen to break down big jobs and showing them how that they can get things done in small, tiny steps, one day at a time. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I would love it if you would share it with a friend that has a teenager. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.